Hello, beautiful souls. I hope you're doing very well. I am in my new place. I'm very excited to be able to do videos and all of my work from this place. So today I wanted to share about inner child healing. I know for a lot of us, we hear about that, but we don't really know what that means, or we don't really know how it works. So I'm going to share a little bit of how I work with it so that you can maybe be inspired of doing the same things or something similar. And I'll also share some of the main things that are the most important regarding inner child healing. So, the inner child healing, this kind of theory is that we have inside of us this inner child, this very young part of us that has gone through a lot. And it is triggered during our adult life in our relationships. So it can be triggered in many different ways. Sometimes we feel rejected, abandoned, humiliated. We can feel betrayed. We can feel that somebody is treating us with injustice. So all of those wounds, they are actually stored inside of our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. And what we want when we do inner child healing is to release the stuck energies, release all of the heaviness, the pain, the suffering that the inner child has, so that it's easier for the adult self, us now, to actually interact with others. There's a bunch of different ways of doing so. I'm going to share a little bit more about how to go about what is a trigger for you. So when you know that you are triggered is when you have this very intense emotional response to whatever is happening in your life. That could be having tears coming up. You could feel very much so that you need to get away from people or from a relationship, disconnect emotionally. You might feel very hurt, unheard, unloved. All of those signs are actually your inner child telling you there's something here that hasn't been healed and it's repeating itself, and I want us to heal that together. For most of us, the inner child is a part that we carry inside of us, but we're kind of, no, I don't really want to connect with you. That's my past. I don't even want to think about it anymore. I want to detach from my past, from my trauma. I just don't want to be in connection at all with it. The problem with that is that the inner child doesn't disappear because we disconnect from it. It actually creates more of this discomfort and this dissociative state of being when we are not connected with our inner child. The inner child is the part of us that has been hurt in the past through many different experiences. It can even start in the womb of your mother. If she went through a lot of stress, anxiety, if she was fearful of her pregnancy, if she had difficulties with her partner, with your father or your caregivers, well, she had all of this energy was actually kind of imprinted in you. And then obviously, whatever happened once you were born also was imprinted. Having a C-section is also something that disconnect the baby from being placed in the mother's arms, on her chest, because we're so connected to our mother. So having being born through a C-section actually makes and creates this disconnection. It's a disconnection with your mother, and the mother energy is so important. So we have a separation that's happening because we're also a soul coming to this earth plane, but also because we haven't been able to connect to our mothers at the beginning of our lifetime. Most of us have had this connection physically. So that's one example, but all of the rest that has happened in your family unit when you were young also has an impact on how you actually interact with others. So if your emotions were not welcomed, for example, then you learned that showing emotions was something bad and that you needed to actually care for them on your own. So you would probably have more of this sense of, I'm gonna be going on my own and deal with my emotions and not really share anything. If you had a very destructive or very dysfunctional family, and all of the relationship, maybe there was physical abuse, sexual abuse, or anything that was very disruptive when you were young, you might have developed anxiety about rejection and abandonment, which actually creates you to become more emotionally triggered. Your emotion comes like a wave and you can't really deal with them. So those are two of the kinds. You can look up attachment styles to have more information, but that was created when you were young and you kind of keep this backpack on yourself for as long as you don't actually even notice you have this backpack. It's a backpack you take a tool that you use when you were young. It's subconscious, so you don't know that you're using that. But those are the links that you make. Like, you analyze what's happening in your environment. You analyze if you can share vulnerability with others or if you can't. Some of us are very sensitive to what they see. I know for me, I'm very, very good at pinpointing the facial expression of people because of my childhood, where I was witnessing a lot of violence and abuse. So for me, knowing what was around me was very important. So I have this pattern of really focusing more on my exterior than what's happening inside of me. So my inside, my emotions are usually related to what's happening around me. So that's a way that I grew up and how my emotional attachment has developed. So when you work with the inner child, what you want is actually give a space to your inner child to be. What happened when we were young is that we had emotions, feelings, thoughts, opinions, and they were usually just pushed away. People didn't want to see us cry. They didn't want to see us complain. We couldn't be angry. We couldn't share what we were going through. So as an adult, what we want when we are triggered, so let's say I'm very sad because I felt rejected by someone right now. I want to take a moment on my own and connect with this emotion and see where did that started. Because that feeling of being rejected, although it might not even be a truth, it's how I feel, for example. Then this is something that has been seeded when I was very young. So what you can do is just allowing your inner child. If you're good at visualization, I will be making a meditation that you will be able to do on your own, imagining that your inner child is with you. What does she or does he say? Why is he feeling this way, or she is feeling this way? So that you understand what is the reaction. Usually when we have a buildup of emotion, when things are happening and we're triggered, there's so many different things at the level of the subconscious that are happening, that we are actually in need of giving time to those emotions to actually being expressed, held, and loved. Because the most important part is actually to tell your inner child, it is okay that you felt this way back then. It is okay. I'm here for you now. And we can walk this path together. And that's something very important that I think in inner child healing, most people don't understand or don't remember, that it is not only to kind of clear everything, it's actually to bring your inner child inside of you and give them the love, the affection, the protection that they didn't feel they had when they were young. And that's going to create more safety within you. That's going to create more of a flow of understanding why you're reacting a way or another. And it's going to give you tools to actually be able to connect to your soul, to feel more at ease in your relationships. So I hope this video helped you to understand what it is inner child healing. I'll put a link if you want to connect with me one-on-one. I do inner child healing in all of my sessions, or most of my sessions, because the inner child will show up and will show me what's happening, and then we can work to reconnect the two of you together. And I also will be sharing a meditation that you'll be able to do. So I can't wait to hear from you. Last little news before I am, my book is now a paperback version, will be available next week. You can pre-order online on Amazon. I'll leave the link in the description, and I'm sending you so much love. Bye.